Well, thank you for joining this episode of ISV Talks. I'm Carol Livingston from Dynamics Connections. And on this episode, we have Ben Cole, who's the president of ERP Connect Consulting. Welcome, Ben. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Carol.
Of course. Great to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and when did the company start? And tell us a little bit about the company history.
Yeah, definitely. So I started it in 2021, specifically focused on D365 Business Central. Prior to that, I had worked a few other places in both a GP and a BC kind of capacity since 2017 when BC was released into the cloud. And then prior to that, working on Dynamics GP. So always been in the Microsoft space, really enjoy being here and kind of just wanted to hang my own shingle starting a couple of years ago. And that's what kind of prompted me to start the company. Originally, we were focused on professional service, just as kind of any new solo kind of shop is. And then as I started hiring more folks and really building out our team over the last year or so, we've really shifted that mindset to fully taking our focus onto building out apps for Business Central only in AppSource. So starting to really take off, and we credit a lot of that to you for introducing us to a lot of people. So we do appreciate that and kind of how we got started and really enjoying kind of where this future is going with Business Central and all of the great ISV products that are out there.
Yeah, so you're not the new kid on the block, but you kind of are too at the same time. So
Yeah,
what's the
absolutely.
basic description of your products? I know you have a lot of products for Dynamics Business Central. So what are they, and maybe how many you have, and how many are listed on AppSource too? I know you have quite a few.
So right now we currently have 12 apps on AppSource at the moment. We're actually releasing our 13th next month on May 15th. That's going to be our advanced CRM tool, which I'm sure we'll probably get into talking about. That's embedded directly into Business Central, but 12 currently all on AppSource. And kind of the main goal for all of the apps that we have is that we're trying to create an embedded experience within Business Central. So everything is going to look and feel exactly as if it's Business Central out of box, and trying to make that user experience easier. So a lot of the tools that we have either help users work more efficiently in the system, gain additional data insights into the system, whether it be through financial or sales or customer vendor type statistics, and really enabling customers to not have to do a lot of custom development, because we've tried to kind of collect all of the gaps that we've heard, or all of the kind of wish list items that customers have asked for over the years in Business Central, try to pre-package those and sell them for a very affordable price on AppSource so that customers can just go ahead, download them straight off AppSource, plug them in, hopefully set them up in anywhere from 15 minutes for a dashboard all the way up to an hour or two, maybe for one of our more advanced tools like invoice and statement delivery. But again, trying to get back to the ease of use and really filling a lot of the gaps that exist in out-of-box Business Central to provide that better experience for users and for partners listening as well, right? Helps build a lot of customer success stories, because a lot of the pain points aren't the partner's fault, right? But we have, being a partner historically, have had to deal with kind of those customer, not so much complaints, but really the customer frustrations as you go through the project. And it's like, sorry, we can write the code to do this, but yeah, that's not an out-of-box function. So those are the kind of gaps that we've been trying to bridge.
Where you get your ideas are from your customer. So, where you've gotten the best feature suggestions from them or partners?
Yeah, so typically when we have a new product, a lot of the ideas come internally, but that really is just the tip of the iceberg. So I'd say when you look at our feature list for a new app, a lot of times 30 to 40% of it, the whole product at the end of the day, when we actually finally release it on AppSource, is the stuff that my team had kind of been brainstorming back and forth. And then a lot of times our existing client base will help beta test because they either want the app or they're interested in it. And we've got, a lot of great relationships with our existing client and partner base. And they always come back and say, this is awesome, but what if you added these 3 or 4 things in? And it's like, I'm not an end user, so I didn't think of, technically I'm an end user. I guess I use Business Central to run my own business, but not as heavily as, a $30 million manufacturer would be, right? We're not running as much volume through. So looking at it from that perspective helps so much, because I've got all these different customers from all different industries testing the same product, and we get a lot of good feedback, as well as from partners, right? We'll kind of hand out the betas to partners to test, and their consultants look at it and go, this is awesome. My client 2 weeks ago said, they were looking for this feature. And I'm like, okay, could we build it in here? And having 12 different apps on AppSource, there's likely a place where we can usually find that, right? So if we find that a feature could be mass adopted in one of our tools, that's something that we definitely add to our kind of roadmap, and we get those implemented fairly quickly within kind of all the different release cycles that are out there. So yeah, totally our best features are coming from client and partner recommendations, because I can only think of so much. Right.
Great. Well, yeah, I know you told me before they asked you, could I wish Business Central did this or that, and then that's where you get those ideas. Are you compatible with anything else?
No, we're actually not. Business Central is our bread and butter. That's all we focus on, and we like to think that by hyper focusing on just Business Central, it gives the clients and the partners an even greater experience on what we're good at. And we'll be the first to tell you that, if you're going to other Microsoft products, either on-prem or cloud, or other competing products that are out there that are non-Microsoft centric, that's not our cup of tea. But if you need Business Central, we're your folks all day long, because we live and breathe Business Central.
Yeah, and you're not kidding about the AppSource that you're releasing on things all the time. I get emails from you and your organization saying, hey, I got a new app on AppSource. So can you tell us a story of maybe how you've helped a customer be successful with your products, and maybe why?
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think, one of our most recent ones, they were using our invoice and statement delivery tool, which is kind of your one-stop shop for AR automation, whether it be delivering invoices, statements, payment reminders, all that good stuff, as well as our financial dashboard, which displays kind of general ledger activity, AP, AR, inventory, sales, cash, all that fun stuff. So they were kind of using those hand in hand in terms of invoice and statement delivery to send the initial invoice, which they're able to get out much quicker based on how easy we made it to get those emails out to their customer. And then also being able to send statements on a monthly basis, as well as payment reminders on past due invoices on an interval that the client defines. So I think they were doing 2 days before the invoice was due, they'd send a reminder, hey, your invoice is coming due in 2 days. And then every 5 days after that, if they didn't pay, it was just, hey, your invoice was due 5 days ago, it was due 10 days ago, it was due 15 days ago, right? Like, it's not an annoyance because it's not coming from a person, and a lot of people probably just maybe delete them when they get them, but honestly, like, it's in the back of their mind that, hey, they owe something, right? And between using those two tools for the client that we implemented for recently, they were able to drive their day sales outstanding and their incoming payments down by almost 30% just by clicking a few buttons in our tool and enabling some of that automation to continuously remind their customers that, hey, you need to pay on time. These are the outstanding invoices you have due. Here's your statements. And having that facilitated, because a lot of times people would just forget as well. Like, you'd have the AR collections person and they would send out the emails they needed to, but there was always something that was being missed, right? In this case now, the computer doesn't miss it, right? And if it does, it'll tell you what it missed, and then you can go send it. But 99% of the time, it's sending all that out automatically. And we just saw the cash starting to come in quicker and quicker, and really helped decrease that time that customers were paying, which was awesome.
Yeah, being able to connect that cash a little quicker, that's always good. I know you have worked with partners and helped them succeed with their Business Central clients. So is there any stories there?
Yeah, definitely. So we're working with about 10 different partners right now on a partner to ISV kind of relationship, where pretty traditional, right? They're selling our stuff, they're getting margin on it, and we're helping support them, and they're the ones directly talking to their end clients. So I think it's either 2 or 3-fold the way you look at it and the way we can gain benefits out of it. I think the first one, for anybody selling the product, it makes it a ton easier, right? Because one of the big questions I always got when I was selling BC implementations was, okay, this is all great, the functionality, blah, 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 that stuff. Show me the dashboards. And it's like, Business Central doesn't really have any dashboards out of box, right? So that's one of the first things that we tried to develop. So we've put that in the hands of multiple sales folks across multiple different partner organizations. And that's one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we get from the sales force, the sales side of the team at these different partners, right? Is how those insights help them sell against other products that compete with Business Central, right? And there's a handful of them out there, and a lot of the other ones have good dashboarding, right? But Business Central has a really good engine at its core. It just leaves a lot to be kind of configured through Power BI and all that kind of stuff. So what we try to do there was build kind of the starter pack for, these are all the reports and dashboards that most people need. And we've actually embedded them directly into Business Central so that you don't need any additional Power BI licenses, right? So I'd say that's the first part of it, really making the selling piece of it easier for Business Central. Then when we look from a consulting standpoint, that's where a lot of our other tools come in. That's starting to clients to say, okay, I want to send emails, invoice and statement delivery we talked about, right? I want to link dimensions from master data to a subledger data to general ledger data, right? We've got a tool for that. Just a lot of different things that fill certain gaps that clients will always bring up. And for consultants to have these in their toolbox really helps the implementation process. And then I think the third thing there is going from the consultant standpoint to the client standpoint, really helping increase client success, client retention, and ultimately that kind of like your NPS score at your client, right? Like what are they going to recommend you to other people at the end of the day? If you just took Business Central out of box with no add-ons, honestly, for most companies, I don't think most people would be happy with that. And that's why there's so many great ISVs out there. I know we were at Directions last week and I talked to like 50 of them, it feels like, right? A lot of them are friends of mine, and just getting the same kind of reactions from everybody. Everybody's got such great products that help increase that engine that BC has at its core. And then we're really adding on all the bells and whistles, right? So by giving other partners these tools, it's helped make them really successful and create an overall stronger offering for their clients is what I've seen.
I know some partners have their, kind of quote sheet of everything that they usually include. It seems like a few of your tools might ought to be on their part of their initial implementation. So going back later and adding
That's
it.
Definitely the goal. Yeah. It's as a newer ISV, like you said, the hardest part has been getting into the existing book of clients that are already implemented, because it's like, well, you already gave us all your recommendations. Why are you telling us to do new things now, right? Which I think there is a lot of value in that, and coming and say, hey, this is a brand new tool that never existed before. You should at least look at it, right? So we have had traction with that, but definitely the most traction right now is with net new clients. The partner sells a brand new deal, BC implementation. Hey, here's ERP Connect's products. Plug in the financial dashboard, the invoice and statement delivery, history and statistics, whatever it might be, and get off and running from the start to almost package it up as if it's part of their standard offering, which has been huge. And the partners we're working with have proven that to be successful so far, which is great.
Makes a lot of sense. What are some of the new things that you're adding to add value to customers? I know you're helping a lot of partners fill those gaps, but are there anything new that you're looking to add?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things I mentioned earlier, which we just touched on briefly, is the CRM tool, which we're super excited to release next month. The main purpose kind of behind this was for all of those people that I've implemented for in the past, and I hear this time and time again from partners. There's so many clients out there who want CRM functionality and they're not ready to go to CE, right? We hope that eventually that they get there, because we're, it's okay if they graduate from our tools and go to CE. It doesn't hurt our feelings, right? There's a fit for everything, but really capitalizing on those clients that need it. And it's again a win-win, because we're able to provide a tool. Our CRM tool is going to be $1,200 per year, and that gets you unlimited users as well. So it's just, you plug it in, as long as they're licensed in BC, you can use the CRM tool as well, and it's going to do what we would consider 80% of what every CRM should do, right? It's doing leads to opportunities to customers, tracking tasks, doing some light dashboarding around your Salesforce and what they're accomplishing, who they're reaching out to, emails, phone calls, meetings, in-persons, all that kind of stuff. So taking that full life cycle view, tracking everything from start to finish, and being able to do some more pipeline reporting for, what are all my deals? What are their estimated contract values? What are their estimated close dates? And again, if somebody came to me and said, hey, just give me the Ben version of CE, this is what I would implement in CE, right? So now we're trying to take that with, all the code we've written in Business Central and just have it directly embedded into BC, so that people don't have to create an integration between the two. I know there's a lot of tools to do this, but again, trying to provide that cost-effective approach for the company that's got 4 or 5 salespeople that they don't really need CE, they just need to track leads. And when they have 10 people, great, we've got all the data in BC, it's organized very easily, and we can work with your CRM team in order to help upgrade that. So we're super excited about that one. A lot of the other things coming out after the CRM one are more industry focused, so more focus on warehousing and distribution and manufacturing. So we've got 28 total on our roadmap. Again, we're on about number 13 right now. So probably in the next 12 to 18 months, we'll be able to capitalize on all of them. But yeah, excited to probably share some more updates on our next releases when we have future meetings. But our 100% of our focus is on getting CRM up in the next few weeks.
What have you seen in the channel in the past couple of years? I know you started ERP Connect a couple of years ago, but kind of what challenges are you seeing that partners and customers are trying to solve?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones that I'm seeing is the whole, migration to the cloud, right? For whether it be partner, ISV, client, like everybody's talking about it. Every conference we go to, whether it be Direction, Summit, Dynamics Con, whatever it is, everybody's talking about moving to the cloud. And I think from what I've seen, a lot of times it's advertised a lot easier than what it actually takes. Like, unfortunately, there isn't really that easy button right now. We try to provide some tools that make it easier, but there's no, hey, here's my GP instance or my nav instance, just click the button and it goes up, right? There's always some kind of hand holding that takes place. And honestly, from my perspective, it's a good opportunity to clean up years of either bad data or bad processes or bad integrations, things like that. So for me, it's almost a reset point. I would invest in it. And if all you're doing is picking it up over here and placing it down over here, you're just taking what you used to have and putting it in the cloud, which sometimes isn't ideal. And I think that's one of the biggest kind of expectation mishaps that I've seen with clients. It's just the migration, no matter what you're coming from. To me, it's usually always a re-implementation, and there are certain things you can do to help facilitate that more quickly. And I know there's all these GP to BC and nav to BC kind of migration paths, but I think that's really what it is. It's a migration path, not necessarily a migration tool. Like, there's not a one size fits all. You can get customers and vendors and GLs and things like that, but at the end of the day, I really think it's wise to kind of go further in depth and really analyze what you're doing, not just, hey, everybody's going to the cloud, so let's click the buttons and we're in the cloud now, right? So I think that's the biggest thing I'm seeing, and definitely the biggest change in the channel is all this migration to the cloud now.
Any observations from partners or customers about as they're migrating to the cloud? What are you seeing? What's their focus been?
I think the main thing is really improvement, right? So like everybody's trying to take what they were doing historically and trying to make it better, right? Because honestly, when you reach out to a lot of clients, especially, they're like, a lot of them don't want to move up to the cloud because they're like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Like my GP instance works fine, and it probably does, right? Like they're used to it. They've been using it for 10, 15, 20 years, and they don't want to move because it's an investment, right? So I think a lot of what we're seeing is trying to show them the value of moving and what they can get, right? A lot of these on-premise tools, they've just been customized. And it's like, okay, again, those features work great and they work very well for your business. And that's a lot of the times where the extra cost comes in, is if they've customized the crap out of it over the last 20 years, right? But looking for the operational efficiencies, right? And I think one of the biggest things now is all the middleware tools and integration tools and all the different things that you can do. So it's a lot easier. I could probably name 4 or 5 tools off the top of my head, right, that you could use to connect Business Central and Business Central's open APIs to anything, really. I'm working with a few people who have like different marketing tools, and they can connect to our tool. We can connect to theirs. You can facilitate information back and forth, right? So from that perspective, I think it's easier than ever before to really kind of package it all up and start facilitating integrations between systems. And that kind of goes down to automating things, right? And I think that's another big push by clients, right? With all I won't get into like the chat GPT stuff. I think Business Central is a far way off. I know there's the autopilot's great, but I think from full, like, hey, click the button and your computer's going to implement for you. I think there's still some value, and I might be biased, but I think there's still value in consultants helping walk you through that. I think there are a lot of tools that are helping facilitate that, and all these AI tools from an automation perspective can push us in the direction to be more efficient, but we'll always need people, right? People are the core of what's running the business, what's running the technology and all that kind of stuff. So continuously having the clients focus and firms focus on hiring the best people possible. That's really what I think sets good business apart from bad.
I'm just kind of curious, you mentioned about hiring people. I know that you have some really talented people. Where do you find your people?
I mean, luckily I've got a pretty big network, and that's proven to be beneficial to me. Most of the people that I've worked with, I've either known or worked with in a previous life. I know you know Grant, and I'm sure a lot of other people know Grant as well. I've known Grant for about 10 years. He has not been in the dynamic space traditionally, but he's one of the best salespeople I've ever met and can really help articulate value. So kind of working with him has been great from a development perspective, right? Joe has been instrumental in everything we've done, and we have worked and got introduced by one of our mutual colleagues who's a Microsoft MVP. So I think it goes both ways, knowing people that you're able to bring on that you trust, getting great references from other people in your network. And then a few of the other folks on my team I've either worked with previously or are friends of people that I've worked with previously, and kind of just trying to get the gang back together, right? And work with your friends, I think, is the fun in all of it.
It is fun. It seems like people migrate back together and get, and hiring good, high quality people usually know other people that are good and that they enjoy working with. So
it's always the same at all the conferences, right? Like we go to Directions and go to Summit, and like you just form friendships with these people because you see them every 6 months at all these conferences, and you're honestly on the phone with them so much, when you're working remote and everybody's working from home and all that kind of stuff now. So it's always good to get together with people, and whether you're working through a partner to partner relationship or working directly, I just love working with like-minded people.
Any other perspectives you have about the marketplace, other than hiring good people?
The big things for me go back to hiring the right people and kind of having that trinity of people, processes, and technologies, right? You kind of need all three of them working together very seamlessly in order to grow a good team and grow a team that has sustainable growth, right? If you have the best technologies and the best processes in the world, but your people are lackluster, right? Like how good is your process and technology, right? You need all three of those working together. And if you have great people and great technology, but you don't have any processes in place, people are just running around and doing good work, but they have no clue what the larger vision is, right? So you really need all three of those working together. And I think, again, for us, we're very lean. We automate a lot of our stuff, and that really gets our people back to focusing on what's important, which is providing high-level service and really high-quality products to our clients. So I try to cut out as much overhead as we can and really make everything, as you probably see on our website and things like that, as simple as possible, right? From pricing, from partnerships, from margins, all that kind of stuff. Try to boil it down so that when somebody calls, I don't have to decide like, oh, what tier are they in and where do they fall and who is this client? It's like, nope, everybody gets the same treatment, whether you're big or small. And I think that really helps facilitate good partnership, and it makes our life so much easier because we don't have to think about it when a new deal comes in. We just think, okay, how can we continue to provide the best service and the highest quality products to our customers?
Yeah, I know that transparency and pricing really is a big deal. You don't have to fill out a quote sheet. You don't have to go,
Exactly.
Figure out what tier you're on. It's very simple and very straightforward. So I appreciate that. How about any new trends on the horizon? What are you seeing that's developing in the future? You mentioned AI. There's a lot of buzz about that, but maybe you can just talk more about that.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable that it's going to play some part in everybody's job and role. And I think it's really the people and companies and everybody who's going to be successful are going to be the ones that embrace it and learn how to work with it. Not necessarily, I don't think it's going to replace everyone's job, right? But I think the people who are able to offload some of the busy work, right? Some of the things that just take so much time historically, I think that's what's really going to help scale up companies. I think one of the most prevalent, which isn't necessarily AI. I know some tools are using AI in this now, but it is OCR, right? It's a technology that's been around for a while, but when it was first introduced, it helped. Historically, everyone was just typing in their purchase orders or whatever documents they were getting in, purchase invoices. And with OCR, you could just scan them all in and it creates most of the document for you. If a field's a little bit off, sure, you got to still work with it. And there's a person doing that, right? But the ability to use OCR as an example to streamline a repetitive process has been so valuable for so many organizations. And I think we don't even really know what we don't know yet with AI. And we'll start to, over the next year or two, really see where it can add value. I know from Business Central with Copilot and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of value in filling out product descriptions and things like that. And again, that's one feature out of thousands of tables in Business Central. So as we start to learn how to work with it, I think it will continuously get better. I'm definitely excited for it, but I think, there'll always be some out of the box thinking that's needed from folks that are probably listening to this call as well. And that's where I think the most value is going to be driven, right? Out of AI contained and used with people to optimize your results, right? But it could prove to be expensive as well. And that's sometimes the cost benefit of, do I just want to hire somebody to do it, or do I want to work with AI? And some people will adopt it and some people won't. I would never pay anyone to type in information on a document. Like, I'm going to scan that and OCR it all day long. There's a lot of good tools out there that help with this, and we use them internally, right? So, and it increases accuracy too. Like, somebody typing it in, they could fat finger something, make a mistake. So I'd much rather have it all scanned in and just hire one person to review it all, make sure it's good, and make sure that we're on top of things, right? Because there is only so much that the machine can do. You always need good people, but I think it's very, very hard to find good people. So the more we can have the good people working on the value add tasks, and the less we have them working on doing time entry and all this stuff. Like, that was one of the big things that we did when I first started. It was like, how can I have people spend the least amount of time possible in time entry? Because everyone hates entering their time, right? And I don't want people entering their time an hour a week, right? Like, I just want it to be quick. So we use a tool that has an Outlook integration, right? And you just books everything on your time entry. Okay, boom, we're done. How can you do more of that and extrapolate it across your business from admin tasks all the way to client tasks, right? And then maybe that makes these implementations not cost as much because we can gain efficiencies, and then we can do more of them. I know there's like, I don't even know, probably like 100,000 GP and Nav on-prem instances that we need to move to the cloud. And there's not enough people to do all of that in the next 5 years. So how do we get that in some sort of more efficient manner so that we can get all of these folks on the cloud where they want to be?
Yeah, that's a good point. So there's only so many resources and so much time, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Is there just in conclusion, is there any one trend that you're seeing that's driving partners or customers to come talk to you or use your apps and app source?
Yeah, I think there's probably two main ones, right? The first one's going to be the gaps in the base product, right? So I think there's, again, a lot of things that people want when they download Business Central that may not exist out of box. And there's a lot of tools out there right now that you can use to build tools. You can use Power BI, you can use Power Automate, a lot of different third-party tools to build reports and automation. Our goal is to kind of bridge the gap. You know, a lot of people can't afford those alongside them doing $100,000 BC or $200,000 BC implementation. So by using our tools to help facilitate that is what's really driving partners and customers to talk to us. We've wanted all these things, but they've always been way too expensive for us to afford. So it's like, okay, perfect. Here's a $600 dashboard. Just plug it in. And honestly, I can't talk to you about reporting for less than $600 because it's going to take me more than 3 hours to figure out what you need, right? So a lot of times that's cheaper than even having the discovery call. So we let them use that, the clients use that, the partners use that, and it's a building block for them. And then the second one is just the retention. We found that it makes client success a lot easier, the sales cycle potentially shorter, and ultimately the clients are just happier at the end of the implementation, either of the full-blown BC project or just a little one-off after the project of they implement one of our tools, like the invoice and statement delivery we talked about 15 minutes ago or so. It's like, hey, we didn't know this existed. We were just doing it how we were told to do it. And now we're saving a bunch of time and we're getting money faster. So it's like, awesome. Those are the types of things we want to hear. We want to have it be a win-win for us, for the partner, and for the client. And if we can accomplish that every single time, people will just keep on calling, which is great. We want to keep having that word of mouth and referral business come in, because we don't do a lot of marketing outside of showing up at conferences and spending money on that. All of our leads are coming from referrals and word of mouth, which is fantastic.
Thank you for joining us today, Ben, on ISV Talks. I really enjoyed our conversation. And here's Ben's contact information. If you want to reach out to Ben, you can reach out to him at his email or on their website. So thank you for joining us today, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today, Carol. Always good working with you, and hope to see you again soon here. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. I'll see you soon.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.